Books, isn't it exciting to think about how many books there are in the world? I tell you, you could lock me in a library, throw away the key, I would be reading for the rest of my life. I just love books. I don't know about you, but I've always wanted to write a book. And you know what got me started? I was taking a class at Brigham Young University by Stephen Covey. And Stephen challenged us. He said, I want you to write a book. And I wrote down that as a goal. And I didn't realize that one day it would become a huge bestseller. I was an investment advisor. Frankly, I was a realtor. I was selling real estate to investors, and I was making some nice commissions, but I made this decision that I wanted to write my first book, and therefore I walked into my boss and I said, I'm sorry guys, I'm done. I said on the 1st of this next year, I will never collect another real estate commission as long as I live, and I meant it. It was time for me to write my book. Now, I didn't have a whole lot of income coming in. I had a lot of real estate, lots of equity, but not a lot of cash flow. And yet it was time for me to write my book, and I literally quit my job, and I literally went to Hawaii. It's a nice place to write a book. Took my wife and my brand new little baby girl, and I started to write away on this book. Actually, I was on an old typewriter, and I pounded away, and I had a bunch of manuscript pages, and I came back home. What am I going to do with this? You know, how do I get this published? I hadn't really thought that far ahead. What am I going to do? And there happened to be a gal in my church who was a best-selling author. Her name was Diane Thomas. I love this woman. Why? Because she said, Bob, you know, you got to take it to the booksellers convention. I'll introduce you to some publishers. And so I went to the booksellers convention that year. It was in Atlanta, and I had my manuscript all ready to go. It was beautified. It had been edited, and I took it up to the president of Simon & Schuster, and I said, here's your book. And as they say, the rest is history. It never would have happened if it hadn't been for Diane, to tell you the truth. Because sometimes you need a mentor. Your mentors know things that you don't know and are not found in any book anywhere in the world. It comes from their own experience. And she just knew that if she took me to the booksellers convention that I would probably find a publisher and that would change my life. And I didn't realize that it was going to not only change my life, but it would sell millions and millions and millions of books, the books that I've written. And it's been wonderful ever since. I got to tell you, I love to write, and I want you to write. I want you to literally come up with the idea, and I want you to put it into Word format, but you're not going to do it the way the publishing industry works. Frankly, most books, did you know this? Most books, 95% of all the books that are published, never sell more than 5,000 copies. Now, if you're earning a royalty of, say, 15%, and your book price is, say, $20, 15% times $20 is $3 a book. And if you multiply that by 5,000 books, that's $15,000, and that's not going to make you rich, is it? No, that's publishing, and that doesn't make authors rich. Infopreneuring makes them rich. Now, one of the books that I wrote was called The Challenge, and frankly, I got a $200,000 advance to write it, and it was one of my favorite challenges. I said, send me to any unemployment line. Let me select someone who's broke, out of work, and discouraged. And in 2 days' time, I'll teach them the secrets of wealth. In 90 days, they'll be back on their feet with $5,000 cash in the bank, never to set foot in an unemployment line again. And I wrote a whole book about it, going to the unemployment lines and pulling them off and showing them how to do it and having them make $5,000 in 90 days and $100,000 in the next 12 months. That was 25 years ago I did that challenge. Guess what? We did a book about it and nobody bought it. It was a horrible book. Well, it was a great book, but nobody wanted the title, The Challenge, and therefore it died. Of course, it was in the middle of a real estate downturn and nobody was buying books like that. And I was so devastated because I wanted to make a fortune from that book, but guess what? I did one little secret. I'll tell you how to do this. In the book, I put throughout it places where they could contact me, my email address and my web availability and my address and my telephone number. And about 20 places throughout that book, guess what? They contacted me because they said, I want to have you do for me what you did for these people in this book. And guess what? Of the 60,000 people who bought the book, which was a horrible failure when it comes to publishing, yeah, I've sold 1 million copies of Nothing Down and 1 million copies of Creating Wealth, and then this third book comes along and it's a bomb. But 5,000 of those people wrote me a $5,000 check to take them through a 7-day training experience similar to what was in the book. And what's 5,000 times 5,000? That's $25 million. Did that take your breath away? You know why that's so exciting? It's because the book is not a book. It is a lead generator for the people who read the book. And if you can contact those people, then eventually some of them will want to play with you. They'll come into what we call in the infopreneuring business, they'll come into your funnel. They'll become friends of yours, and some of them will want to learn more from you, and they'll want to come to your home, and they'll want to have you be their coach and their guide, or they'll just want to come to a seminar of yours, or maybe they'll just be part of your webinar. The bottom line is, the book is not where the fortune is made. The book is where the funnel starts, and therefore the fortune is made at the bottom of that funnel. And publishers these days, you know why they're going out of business like crazy? You know why the bookstores are closing down? Not only because the information is being digitized, transformed into different ways for people to get it, but because they don't understand infopreneuring. They don't understand that the book is just a lead generator. They don't participate. The publishers just don't get it. They don't get infopreneuring. They think they make their money from selling of the books. That's not how infopreneurs make it. They make their money from selling the information in deeper and deeper levels throughout this funnel that I'm talking about. If publishers understood what I'm teaching you right now, they wouldn't be going out of business. They would be making more fortunes than they have ever made before. But they're so myopic, they can't see beyond their own publishing business. And you cannot get stuck in that. You cannot get your book, literally launched by a publisher and then let it die. Because that's what most books do. Like I said, 95% of the books only sell 5,000 copies. But a few of them sell 100,000 copies. And a handful or two sell 1,000,000 copies. Now that's when there's some serious money made. I've done that many times. It's extremely rare what I've done. And I want to teach you as an author how you make that book the message of your life and how you turn it into your information empire. Yes, you'll write books. It's fun to write books. If you want to write. Some people literally talk their books into a tape recorder and have somebody else do the writing for them. But the bottom line is you're going to have a book, and the book is going to give you this credibility. You're going to be able to say that you're a published author. Somebody asks you what you do for a living. Guess what you'll tell them? I'm an author. And you'll have them look at you in a different way. And they'll say, oh really? What is your book? And you'll tell them. You'll tell them about how they can be involved in your information empire, how they can literally become a student of yours, and wow, the fortunes that are going to flow to you as a result of that. Now, is this easy to do? No. People make it sound so easy, so simple, so fun, so fast. Can it happen? Well, frankly, my first book, which was huge, made me a fortune, made me rich, made me famous. It still took me 2 years to bring out to the world. And it still took another year of really, really, really hard to get it out there. Can you do that faster these days? Of course. Yes, you can. But it starts with your passion. It starts with your book. It starts with the book that you were destined, that you were born to write. And if you want to learn more about that, there's 5 strategies I'm going to teach you on how you can take the book inside your head and your heart. I'm going to show you through these 5 simple strategies how you make that a bestseller. You want to be a best-selling author? Touch yourself at the heart level and say, I'm a best-selling author. It feels good, doesn't it? I can say that 10 times for me. I want you to say it at least once in your lifetime. At least just once in your lifetime. Don't you want to be able to say, I'm a best-selling author? Well, I'll show you exactly how to get there. Keep watching. And literally, as you get the emails that'll come from me, read them, study them, and do them. This is my message to you, your friend and mentor, Robert Allen.
You'll pick up on that? Let's make millions together, what is that?
Oh, good. Let's make millions together.